Hello, Nick Team video. Today we're going to take a look at the Warsaw Regional Finals here. We're going to have the Grand Finals here reset version already. As we see an Obstagoon facing off a Lickitung. Amazing lead already for Koksiak on the left side, and Tomahawk has to swap into their Noctowl, who is on the right side. I was at this tournament, so for me this is not something new yet, because I watched it live in the venue there as well, which was very fun to do. To be fair, like unlike the original was before in Bremen, they actually had a viewing area, which was a ton of fun. So we can take a look at this now as well. Again, I didn't actually look at all the battles of them though. But yeah, I watched at least most of them, and of course I know also who wins, but it's going to be a very interesting one. If you don't know who wins and what happens here, I definitely recommend you to watch the entire video, because it was most likely the coolest regional finals I've seen yet, to be fair. One reason for this is you see on the left side, Koksiak's team here is something that you wouldn't really expect. If you know the current meta, I played, for example, against I think 5 out of 7 teams I played had both the Noctowl as well as the Lickitung, like Tomahawk's team has. There's no bashing or blaming or anything about this players, it's just the meta right now, like everybody has this. Unlike other finalists here with Koksiak, which actually brings a Victini and basically a ton of anti-meta Pokemon here, which is really cool to see. So we can take a look at what's going to happen here as well, as we see the body slam coming through from the Lickitung, and we will see that Koksiak will be able to hard wall the opponent here now. This is something that happens a lot though in this kind of meta, that there are like so many RPS wins, like so many wins where you literally have no option to lose or win for, depending on which side you are. But here it should be a pretty decent one for Koksiak, but it also always depends a little bit on the shields and how well Altaria going to get this thing down there, because I think after a while Counter plus Ice Punch will pick up the KO, maybe even against the Altaria. I'm sometimes a little bit confused about this matchup here. It's a very close one, which I didn't expect too much. You have a fight against a flying type, but still the Ice Punch is going to do a ton of damage here if it lands, and we will see it land shortly here as this Ice Punch is coming through right now. And there are no protect shields available anymore. We will see here the Ice Punch coming through, going to nearly knock them out, but only get them pretty low, as we see the swap out into the Lickitung now. You're gonna go for another charge move here, which I didn't understand in this position, to be fair, but they still have a shield left. You can farm a little bit and still keep your one charge move in the back, I would say, but they're actually going to swap out immediately into the Obstagoon, trying to farm them all the way down here. But of course, the opponent still has one shield left here, and you kind of want to get rid of the shield, but also the Medicham is pretty low already, so it's a little bit of a toughie still if they can still win it or not, because Medicham does double super effective damage against Obstagoon. We see a no shield coming up here, as the opponent knows already, Tomahawk, that they are at 2 moves anyway, so they will throw in the next move immediately. As now the Koksiak will be able to farm them all the way down. We see the Medicham coming in, and the Medicham is low enough that Obstagoon will be able to counter them all the way down, and Koksiak will get the first victory here. Game 2 is coming up here right now, as we will be able to see a horrible lead for Koksiak. We will see a Ice type against a Flying and Dragon type, as we see the swap out immediately into a Azumarill, which Tomahawk won't really have the best answer for it. We're going to see a Noctowl, which is weak to the Ice Beam of Azumarill. We'll see the Medicham in the back, which is weak to Play Rough of Azumarill. So they opt to stay in here for a little bit, because, yeah, I guess they kind of need to get this thing a little bit lower. They're going to try to catch the move here on the Noctowl, which didn't work out quite yet, as we see the Play Rough coming through, going to get shielded by Tomahawk. Shield's going up there, as we see that you should go for the Shadow Ball here, I guess. Yeah, they're gonna go for a Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball will be enough to knock the Azumarill out from this range, most likely, just barely, but you will see the shield coming up anyway, as they're going to try to catch the next move. Now, let's see, we're going to see the swap out into the Noctowl. Didn't catch the move, but it doesn't really matter too much either, as this Ice Beam coming through here right now will get no shielded Noctowl easily, so as one Ice Beam, there's not really an issue for Noctowl for this one, as we see that it does around half of its health, and they will be able to go for this Shadow Ball here actually. Shadow Ball does a little bit more damage, I guess, than a Sky Attack, because otherwise it doesn't really make too much sense to go for it. Is this enough to knock out the opponent's Azumarill? It is not by 1 HP, which means he will be able to go for one Ice Beam, and it forces the... No, he doesn't force the shield. They're actually going to let the Noctowl go down here. which is kind of crazy. But no, actually the Noctowl also going to be able to survive it, and Koksiak going to swap out here, saving their Azumarill as a shield in the back, which is an interesting matchup. But I think at this point of time there's not a lot that Koksiak can do here anymore, as we will see the shield coming up here, going to be the Avalanche coming through, which will of course get shielded. But we see the Medicham in the back. We know that they have an Obstacle in the back as well. They try to farm it all the way down, but this will be the second game already. There's not a lot that Koksiak can do here to still win anything, as the Medicham will be hardwalling the opponent here, especially with a shield up. There's nothing in the team that really can deal with Medicham too well. Maybe the Trevenant would be, but Trevenant is a little bit risky to bring, of course, in the teams with the Lickitung plus Noctowl core, because, yeah, Trevenant does not really do well against it. We see the boost here, which was super necessary, and we will see that the Medicham will be able to take this game here. Let's go into the third one. Taking a look at the third game now, we will see the... Well, we will see a game most likely here. We will see the Victini coming in here against the Swampert. This looks pretty horrible, as Victini is of course a fire-type Pokemon that doesn't even outspeed Swampert. Victini is a very cool pick in the current meta, by the way. I really like this pick by Koksiak. It seems like more like a fun pick, but if you take a look at it directly, especially as a lead, you have here on the opponent's part 5 Pokemon that would at least not really appreciate one V-Crate, but of course they're going to catch the the worst possible lead there with the Swampert, but what a nice catch there for the player of on the Medicham, which is something that they most likely didn't expect to catch there. But this was a very nice for Koksiak here, as they will be able to go for one Ice Beam most likely. Oh, do they go for Player of? I'm not sure. They're going to let this move go through most likely, as it's going to be a Psychic. They will be able to take this one, and we'll see the farm down most likely. We see some more bubbles coming through, definitely. We only see one Ice Beam, like one bubble and one Ice Beam coming through now. This doesn't knock out the Medicham quite yet, but will put him into farm down range most likely, I would say. But we see the shield coming up, which is something that I didn't really expect to see. We see the Ice Beam coming through just before the Psychic coming through, which is amazing for Koksiak, as they will force the final shield. And maybe you could actually just now let the move go through and go back into your Victini, because Victini will be able to get the full farm down against the Medicham. This might be the play to go for, but you will see the full, nearly full farm down here from Tomahawk. Definitely very good understanding of the situation here, not throwing immediately. Basically perfectly farming them down, but sadly it's actually not enough to knock them out. Now they're going to catch the Ice Beam now on the Noctowl, which is something that you don't really want to catch here on the 1 HP there. And also you're going to be now locked into this matchup here against Victini, and Victini should do enough damage to knock you out already here. We will see the V-Crate coming through, Victini going to go full for the V-Crate, and we see the V-Crate coming through, should destroy the Noctowl, and we see that they have to go into the Swampert now, to be fair. Swampert will have a pretty decent time still. Let's see how much energy they still have on the Swampert. I don't think they had a lot there. They had a little bit, at least. They had a little bit of energy there, but they will be able to just shield this up, and they can go for one Psychic here to knock out the Swampert as well. Victini is just sweeping through the opponent here. We see that this Hydro can get shielded, of course. We see the Psychic coming through, and a Psychic will land on the Swampert, which is amazing. This is so fun to see, to be fair, to see something off meta destroying a meta Pokemon in the finals of a tournament. The Medicham will not be able to knock out this Victini here. Victini will stand after the Psychic still, because this is... Never mind, they will not stand after the Psychic. I actually expected that they still would live it, but I guess... never mind, V-Create lowers your defenses. Never mind about this. I forgot about the side effect of V-Create, but this is fine, as still the Obstacle will be able to counter it down. And we can go into the fourth match. Fourth match is coming up now. We will see one opponent we're going through. We see the Obstacle against the Lickitung again. Very nice DT for Koksiak. Let's see what's coming in now. We're going to most likely see the swap into the Swampert now, and there is not the best answers for the Swampert. The Swampert Azumarill matchup is really awkward, especially if the Swampert has some energy advantage, as is the case here, because Earthquake does a ton of damage. It doesn't knock you out, but it does a ton of damage, so you kind of want to shield it, and they went straight for the bait here. which is really horrible for Koksiak. You will be able to go for the Ice Beam bait most likely as well, but the Earthquake is coming through now, and they can't really just like risk a shield again, because then they would be 2 shields down. That's something that you don't really want to be. So it's going to be a tough one here. We see the Ice Beam coming through now. It's most likely going to get shielded as well, because you have so much pressure with the Swampert already that this will be fine for you. The shield coming through, as you can go for another Ice Beam. Let's see if the Swampert gonna shield this one as well. They're actually going to double shield it, which means Swampert will be able to realign as well, as they're currently in range for one Hydro Cannon with the Azumarill. They can just go ahead and farm up a ton of energy now, because they know that Koksiak must be energy dry. They could have actually farmed up way more, so Koksiak will have to let this move go through. They have to go into the... I don't know what they actually want to go through. Most likely into the Obstagoon there. It's going to still have to take one move here, and it's going to be a tough one for Victini to still win this endgame, because they're going to have to align against the Lickitung, which is going to be not ideal. We see the Night Slash coming through here, and even though Tomahawk lost the lead here, they will still be able to realign their Pokemon perfectly, and now we will see the Victini match up against the Lickitung. Lickitung will be able to have a very positive match up here in general, as we see that Tomahawk actually going to overfarm a lot and now perfectly throwing onto the V-Create, which is actually very crazy that they perfectly timed this here, because yeah, like Koksiak went 1 over, which they usually shouldn't really do. Like they went 1 over 2 charge boosts there, and throwing perfectly on this is kind of rare to see, because now Koksiak is forced to use their shield here now, which they wouldn't need to otherwise, because I would have won CMP against the opponent's Lickitung. I think this will already be enough to knock out the Lickitung here. Let's see. But because of the amazing timing of Tomahawk here, they will be able to get the shield. But never mind, actually the Lickitung will still stand, so that didn't really matter too much. But we see the Medicham coming through here. This Medicham will get hit by one V-Create, which does around 50% to its health, but it doesn't really hurt too much here either, as we see the V-Create coming through. This does, yeah, exactly around 50%. They can just farm down. We see the Obstagoon coming in, and they can just farm down everything. Actually, crazy play to not throw any charge move here as well from Tomahawk, because I don't know, like I guess they kept track over the Obstagoon for the entire time, which is very nice. We will see the Psyche coming through, and it's going to be a 2-2, and the final game will decide who will win the Warsaw Regionals here. Final game coming in here, we see Tomahawk now against Koksiak. In the loading screen, we'll see the first is against the Altaria. Horrible for Koksiak, and we see at the back a Medicham, which will most likely line against the Obstagoon, and we see now a Victini coming in against a Swampert. Yeah, this is RPS at its finest. We see Koksiak getting completely hard-rolled from the get-go here, trying to get at least a shield back against the Swampert, shielding up the Hydro Cannon, but this is going to be such a tough game to win this one. We see the V-Create coming through here, which will get shielded by the Swampert. Could be, of course, a Psychic, and then they would lose switch advantage. There's no risk for Swampert here. They're always going to be able to win this matchup anyway. We see another V-Create coming through, which they're actually going to shield up as well, which is interesting. I know Swampert is a little bit squishy, but they would still resist it, which is at least maybe something where Koksiak will be able to get some advantage of it, as the opponent still has to throw anyway. You will be able to go into your Altaria now at least, which should be able to have a pretty nice time here still. Can farm it all the way down. Let's see what they're going to do here. If they're going to farm it all the way down, the Swampert should have maybe stopped it immediately, because now the opponent is still switch locked, but now they're going to go ahead and swap into the Frostless. This resets basically the matchup entirely, this swap here, because now Frostless is 1 shield lower than the Obstagoon. Obstagoon is now aligned against the only Pokemon it really wants to be aligned in, and also Obstagoon will be able to avoid the Medicham now, which is amazing for Koksiak, which is a very weird swap there from Tomahawk. They didn't want to give the opponent's Altaria a ton of energy, I guess, and wanted to keep the energy from the Swampert. Later on Twitter, they said that they expected the Azumarill in the back instead of the Obstagoon. Of course, like, this is a mistake, the swap there, which you only really see like here, and like think, oh, why did they swap it all? But it's like different when you're actually on the stage there. And now it's an Altaria with a 1 shield advantage, a ton of energy against the rest of the world, basically, as we see the Medicham and also still the Swampert, both Pokemons, they are pretty weak against Altaria. He will be able to take this move pretty easily, and they have to kind of expect that they're going to have the Medicham in the back, because Medicham is the best answer for Tomahawk for the Obstagoon. So Medicham most likely going to they're going to bring Medicham every game, basically. as we will see here the Sky Attack coming through does not knock out the Altaria quite yet. Can they reach the Sky Attack in time? They can reach the Sky Attack in time. This will knock out the opponent's Altaria, the opponent's Machamp here. Sky Attack comes through and we will see the knockout there for the Medicham, and we see this, the Swampert still has one Hydro Cannon. Can they get to 2 Hydro Cannons? They cannot get to 2 Hydro Cannons, and Koksiak will be able to win this game here. Congratulations to him. He is winning the regional, and I think I was actually there in the background somewhere. But yeah, very, very proud of him. He's 15 years old, so big congrats to him as well. Very nice to win it all basically with a Victini, which is amazing to see. Also very cool to see like all of them in their shirts as well. Congrats to him. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.